With the recent returns of Zack Ryder and Dolph Ziggler in the WWE, it got me thinking, what are some of my favorite returns in the history that I've been watching the WWE? You guys already know the deal, Miguel Don channel. Let's get straight into it. At the first one I have is Brock Lesnar returning at SummerSlam of this year. This shit was so hype, I damn near pissed myself. I was watching it with the boys, and we all decently popped. I say decently because I know some of us were. One of my friends has no idea, never watched pro wrestling in their life, so they were kind of like, who the hell is this? So like 95% of us all screamed at the top of our lungs and freaked out because Brock Lesnar returning was like kind of hinted a little bit with this John Cena retirement tour, but also it was a little like, it didn't seem like it was going to happen because we all know with the whole legal situation. Anyway, but Brock Lesnar returning was insane. Like I said, it was believable somewhat, but it was more unbelievable because we're like, we don't know if he's legally in the clear. I don't think he's going to return, a lot of people were saying. And then he returns anyway. And then we were like, oh shit, we were wrong. They kind of swerved us, but not really. But it was just insane seeing him come back. I remember watching it back in the day, and I was kind of getting tired of Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and all those guys at the top. But then when Brock Lesnar was absent for a while, you were kind of like, oh man, I kind of would like to see Brock Lesnar back. And then he comes back, and like I said, I almost pissed myself with how excited I was. Making this list, I kind of realized these were all recent returns within the 2020s. So I might put this video as my favorite returns of the 2020s. But anyway, next up, we got Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 41. And I put 2025 in there in case people who are watching who don't know when events were like WrestleMania 41. Just in case, I was like, that happened in 2025. But this one was another recent one. Okay. This one may have been expected with the whole Lyra Valkyria stuff and her needing a tag team partner. It was probably obvious to some. It was a little obvious to me. But still, there's that like, you suspend some disbelief a little bit just in case, because you never know. You don't want to set yourself up for expectations just for it to be someone else and then you're disappointed. And I also have a little bit of bias towards this one because I went there live. I'll put a footage of my reaction to Becky Lynch returning. All right, now who it is? Who is it? Say his name. No, it was the Johan. And I know she probably had a better return at SummerSlam. I'm pretty sure she returned somewhere in SummerSlam within the 2020s. But like I said, I have a bias towards this one. I was there live. I kind of believed it was Becky. I was like, it's definitely going to be Becky, right? And then when she came out, I was just like, I kind of knew it was Becky, but it's still hype, bro. Because, I watched Becky Lynch go from NXT to the main roster. I watched that whole transition with the four horsewomen and stuff like that. And then I watched her, the first women's main event at WrestleMania when it was her, Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey, I think. And then she became the man. So I was there in the trenches, bro, watching Becky Lynch's career, bro. So this was kind of monumental to me. Like I said, being there live probably helps. And it was cool. It was just cool seeing her, hearing her music. And I was just like, yeah, it's hype, bro. This is hype. All right, next up, we got Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 38, which was in 2022 for those who don't know. This one ranks decently high. I have ones that I think are much better, but Cody Rhodes is like one of my favorite wrestlers currently. I even have a poster. I know you can barely see it, but I have the 2K24 poster right there, which is just Cody Rhodes' face. So it's kind of weird because when I go to sleep, Cody Rhodes just looking at me. Actually, you know what? It makes me feel better because he's watching over me, protecting me, bro. I trust Cody Rhodes. Anyway, but yeah, this is when he left as Stardust. Everyone knows about the dreaded Stardust run. I was fucking with it in the beginning. I thought it was funny, autistic fun. But then it kept going. Let my boy go, dude. Like, he's so much better than Stardust. And then he left. He did his whole indie run. He started AEW. He was trashing on WWE a lot. Sending subliminal shots, even though they weren't even subliminal. Like, sledgehammer to the throne, really. It's very on the nose. But then you were like, okay, he's never coming back. He talked all this shit about WWE. He's never coming back. And then there was rumors that at AEW that there was a falling out and Cody Rhodes was a free agent, and then you're like, oh, maybe he might. But then you also think about all the shit he talked about WWE, and you're like, okay, that probably not. Once again, there's like that you don't know factor. Like with the Brock Lesnar one with his legal situation. With this one, it was Cody Rhodes and potentially the bridges he burned. But then he came back anyway. And I this is kind of like when I got back into wrestling, like watching it full time. Before like WrestleMania 32 and on, I was like, okay, you know what? I'll watch clips. And then at like 2020, I started getting back into it. I was like, okay, maybe they're cooking now. And then this is when I was just like, okay, you know what? I think I'm fully back into pro wrestling. So thank you, Cody Rhodes, for that. Shout out Cody Rhodes, the quarterback. He's the dog. He's the new face of the company. I know people like to trash on him lately, but man's kills it, bro. He does what he needs to do. He's a company man. He's awesome. Shout out Cody Rhodes. I'm so glad he came back. It's awesome. Anyway, next up, we got John Cena Money in the Bank. So you see what I did there? I got the current face and then like the passing of the torch. This is who it was before Cody Rhodes, the top baby face. John Cena returning once again like Brock Lesnar. Like, I love John Cena. I've always loved John Cena. I got tired of him, but I never hated on him specifically. Brock Lesnar, I was getting tired of him and Roman. I was just like, okay, I was kind of hating on both of those guys specifically. I never hated on John Cena. I did get a little annoyed with his Super Cena stuff. But then once you realize he isn't on TV as much as he used to, you kind of start missing him. And that was the case with this. I was just like, man, this whole Tribal Chief Roman Reigns thing, I would really love to see John Cena, like Super Cena, go up against his Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. And then he returns in Money in the Bank. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, the universe had answered my prayers. John Cena's back. And as you could tell by the crowd reaction, everyone cheered. Usually it's like more boos. But people still love John Cena back in those days, the Super Cena days. But it was like all love. Everyone had the same feeling. Everyone was just like, you know, kind of miss John Cena. Then he comes back and everyone's like, yeah, that's exactly what I was missing. The face of the company, everyone's childhood, John Cena. He literally is the... When you think of WWE, you think of John Cena. I know most people in the comments are going to be like, bro, I think of Stone Cold or The Rock, bro. Yeah, but John Cena, like, propelled it into, like, superstardom. Like, sure, Rock, Stone Cold, all those guys were super popular. But, like, no one carried the company on the back for as long as John Cena did. Like, Stone Cold was, like, the Attitude Era. And then John Cena was, like, started the Ruthless Aggression Era. And he's still wrestling to now. What is it? His career's, like, 23, 24 years long. Carrying the WWE on his back. He might have... Okay, let's say he carried the WWE on his back for at least 20 years. That's a lot. That's a lot of fucking years, bro. John Cena the GOAT, bro. John Cena is Himothy, bro. And then when, like I said, when you think of the WWE, you think of John Cena. So this return was insane. It was like kind of answering all of our prayers, I will say, for lack of a better word, because everyone grew up watching John Cena. We got tired of him, and then we started missing him because he was gone so much because he's pivoting into Hollywood. And then he came back at the perfect time. It's just like the opposite of the Avatar. Instead of when we needed him the most, he vanished. When we needed him the most, he showed up at Money in the Bank 2021. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, next up, we got the boy Randy Orton. As you can tell, all these were like literally within the 2020s. So that's why I'm going to change the title of the video. But Randy Orton returning at Survivor Series War Games 2023. This was insane. I watched this live, and they did drop a lot of hints. Like Cody Rhodes was saying, I have someone with legacy. I have a legacy with someone or something like that, which is on the nose. And for those who don't know, Randy Orton had a faction called Legacy, and they were all like second-generation talents. It was him, Cody Rhodes, and Ted DiBiase Jr., who may or may not be in legal trouble or something. I don't know. And WWE screwed him over, bro, I guess. I don't know. But it was hinted heavily towards him coming back. But it was still awesome seeing him come back. And that's when he came back yoked out of his mind. Dude was like lean before, and then he was out of the game recovering from his injury. And then he came back like a fucking monster. Like, you know what I was saying in my last video about main events? About how Randy could only do so much, but he's not big and powerhouse like John Cena, so he couldn't pick up the Big Show. I'm pretty sure this yoked out Randy could, I don't know, just lift up the Big Show like a military press and just throw him over the ropes. This guy is like insanely huge. And it was weird seeing him feud with John Cena. And John Cena is like getting older and he's like kind of losing some muscle mass, but Randy being bigger than him. And I'm like, whoa, the tables have turned. But yeah, it was cool seeing Randy Orton come back, beat the shit out of everybody in War Games. It was just so cool when you hear his music play, and then he looked like he was so happy to be back. You could tell that he was like, fucking finally, dude. He was vibing with the crowd. He was having fun. He felt the energy. He got the rush, and then he went in there and just fucked everybody up. Shout out Randy Orton. This was a great return, honestly. This is not even just for the 2020s, like just a great return in general. Same with the John Cena one. All right, next up we got Roman Reigns. This is kind of what started bringing me back in. Because like I mentioned before, I was not a big fan of Roman Reigns. I was not a big fan of the big dog. The fucking big dog, bro. When they pulled out the dog food, that was game over, bro. I was like, dude, what is this? Dude, the big dog Roman Reigns. But yeah, I was not fucking with the big dog, bro. I had the same opinion as most people did. I was like, let Roman use his natural charisma and his heelish tendencies, and then just let him go wild, bro. Because I guarantee you he'll get over normally. We don't need Vince McMahon to push him down our throats. Like, how many WrestleMania main events did he get? He main evented 31 and 32 in a row. I know he main evented against The Undertaker. Then he main evented a bunch against Brock Lesnar. I'm like, dude, come on, dude. Switch up the character. Stop with the Severn Succotash with the dog food, bro. And why does he still have the Shield's theme song? Like, it was just so annoying. Like, they were trying to push him so hard. It was insane, and it was annoying. And then he left because COVID and, you know, his condition. He was more at risk. So he left. I didn't know when he was going to be back. He was supposed to, like, wrestle Goldberg or something. And they switched it out with Braun Strowman. So I was just like, well, I don't know when he is going to come back. And then he came back and just absolutely destroyed The Fiend and Braun Strowman at SummerSlam 2020. It was so peak. And then he went on like an insane heel run. Obviously, honestly, this may be a hot take, but I like this early version, the Wreck Everyone and Leave, between Big Dog and Tribal Chief. Like when he first united with Paul Heyman. That was insane. When I saw that, I was just like, yeah, we're in for a treat. I like this more aggressive, I just want to beat the shit out of people, Roman Reigns. It was like insane. Just, oh my goodness. Do you do yourselves a favor, guys? Rewatch this or watch this for the first time. Roman Reigns, when he returned, was peak. And then honestly, the Shield theme song that I was talking shit about, it was heat with this heel Roman Reigns. I'm like, okay, cool. This is what we've been asking for. Let him cook. And then he cooked, and then he put on banger matches with Jey Uso and Hell in a Cell. He fought, was he already Tribal Chief when he fought Daniel Bryan and Edge? He might have been. But like this, Wreck Everyone and Leave, fresh heel Roman Reigns, it was so refreshing. I was just like, yes, this man look how yoked he looked. Because there are moments in time where Roman Reigns did not look as yoked out as he does in this picture. But he was wearing the vest because fucking Vince McMahon wanted him to wear the vest, the Shield vest. And I guess he didn't, since he wasn't showing it off as much, he didn't work as hard, but then you could see that he worked really hard, and then he started wrestling without his shirt on, and he just looked like a menace. Like, look at this picture. He just laid out the Fiend. Like, with the Seth Rollins stupid shit that I talked about in the main events, like, oh, you know, Seth Rollins was too violent, so that's not believable. That was cringe. It was corny. If we had Roman Reigns in there and the Roman Reigns was just beating the shit out of the Fiend, I would be like, okay, man, let's stop this Hell in a Cell match. This Roman Reigns might actually kill him, bro. But yeah, shout out Roman Reigns. This is like what started me watching again. And I was just like, okay, if this is the top guy, I do want to see this. I don't want to see the big dog. Just even the name, the big dog, is just so silly. You can't say it like normally, like, oh, big dog. It's lame. You got to say the big dog. Dude, shout out Roman Reigns, bring the big dog back. Anyway, next up we got, if I remember correctly, this may be kind of a cop-out, but yeah, it was CM Punk. One event, Survivor Series War Games 2023, one event with two insane returns. Obviously, I put this one higher than the Randy Orton one because it was unexpected. For those who don't know, well, okay, let me add this first. CM Punk is probably my favorite wrestler of all time. One or two. And during 2013, he kind of was getting screwed over repeatedly by the higher-ups, Vince McMahon, at WWE. And he was frustrated, so he left after the Royal Rumble. He literally just quit. And then Vince McMahon sent him his, like, not resignation papers, his firing papers on his wedding day, and he, like, just constantly getting screwed. Stopped wrestling for the longest time, like 10 years maybe? No, he left 2013. It was like 9 years or something. Went to AEW. Caused a massive shitstorm over there because of the talent at AEW, not because of CM Punk. They wanted you to believe that it was CM Punk at first. And then when everything started coming out, we're like, okay, maybe Punk wasn't the bad guy. And then Survivor Series was in Chicago, and people were like, maybe. But we were all like, no, dude. We're talking about Cody Rhodes burning bridges. CM Punk blew them up, dude. They're like non-existent. He Thanos those bridges. And then you hear the music play. And I cried, bro. I shit myself. I cried. I pissed. I nutted, bro. I did all the bodily fluids came out. I might have vomited too, bro. Out of pure excitement. Because Punk was back. This was you had to have been there moment. This was insane. And they did the thing where like they were, oh, have a good night. And then they were showing the advertisements on Peacock. And then out of nowhere you hear the scratch. The record, not the scratch, but like TV static. And then you're like, that's Punk. That's CM Punk. And then he walks out and you're like, well, that's definitely CM Punk. I'm like, this isn't a swerve. This isn't like a AI CM Punk or something. But no, it was insane. And then it propelled so much feuds. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, so many feuds. Pardon my horrible grammar. This is like one of the best all-time returns. It might be up like top 5 maybe. But yeah, this, like I said, CM Punk's probably one of my favorite wrestlers, if not my favorite wrestler. But anyway, we got one more return left. People might already know. For fans who love returns, they might know what I'm talking about. And this is the reason why I said Punk maybe 1 or 2. The return we have is Edge. Once again, probably greatest return of all time. I think so. Not just the 2020 list return. This might be the greatest return of all time. Before I was a Punk fan, I was an Edge fan. That's why, but they're interchangeable. And when he had to retire early because of his neck, I don't even remember how long he was out. Was he out? Was he retired for like 10 years or something? I don't know. I'll put it on the screen. But he was retired for so long, and we know how crazy neck injuries get. Steve Austin had one. Tyson Kidd had one. And most recently, I think Biggie had one. And we haven't seen Biggie in forever. So we know how serious those get, because if you get permanent damage on there, bro, you're paralyzed. Like, look what happened to Kurt Angle. Neck injuries are fucking serious. So when Edge retired, we're all like, okay, fair, 100%. It's sad that it's early. He had to relinquish his heavyweight title. It sucks, but obviously we care more about their health and safety than them entertaining us. We want Edge to be able to enjoy his life, walk around, have fun, not be paralyzed from the neck down. That would all for our entertainment. No, absolutely not. And there were like kind of rumblings of Edge coming back. I know he like speared someone like on Raw, and people were like, "Oh, is this hinting at a return?" But once again, the neck injury, like, okay, you could do one spear, one controlled spear, and be okay. Like, he's probably medically cleared to do some activity. That's why, I was like, I saw Edge hit that spear and he looked really good, but, he's probably just one off. The doctor was like, you could do one, bro. Otherwise, be careful. But then at the Royal Rumble in 2020, just watching it, chilling. I was like, maybe I'll give this WWE thing a go again. And then Edge came out. The "You Think You Know Me" hit. And I was like, I didn't even scream or jump or anything in excitement. I was like, just more like, holy shit, is this real? Edge is back, bro. Medically cleared, bro. It was more like one of those, like, yes, this is, what is it? This is peak or whatever. The fucking meme. The fucking anime meme. But yeah, so that's what it was. And like I said, after how many years of being retired with the neck injury, he comes back and then he's wrestling full time. You're like, dude, what the fuck? And he's in insane shape for being how old he was. He looked great. Most people are afraid of getting too old and then they look kind of silly in the ring. Edge came back and he may have looked better than he did before, because towards the end of his career, before the injury, he was kind of a little flabby, but then he came back and he looked like a unit. I'm like, bro, what? I was like, retirement? Why is everybody getting jacked in retirement? So shout out Edge, bro. I feel like this isn't a controversial take. I feel like a lot of people will agree that this is probably the greatest return in pro wrestling. I know you got like John Cena in 07 Royal Rumble or something. 07 or 08. But, you know, we knew he was going to come back. It was like a pectoral tear. It just takes time. But, like, with the neck injury, we thought his career was, like, completely over. So that's why I think this is probably the greatest return of all time. Not even just on this 2020 list, just of all time. Shout out Edge. Potentially come back for the Last Time Is Now tournament. We need an Edge versus John Cena before he retires. But, you know, it is... We can't get everything we want, guys. We might get Gunther, bro. Thought it was going to be Sheamus. But shout out Edge. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys think my picks are dumb or if you think they're valid. I don't, you know, just engagement, bro. Be nice to each other. You guys flame me, but be nice to each other. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.